There you go.
Good morning, everybody. It's 9 o'clock. We will start the September 22nd meeting of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners. There's a copy of the Open Meetings Act located on the north wall of the legislative chambers if anybody wants to read that. And with that, we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Also, for the record, we note that there's an automatic external defibrillator that is available on the back wall of the legislative chambers if anybody needs that. And with that, we will call to order the Douglas County Board of Equalization meeting. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Borgeson, Commissioner Boyle, Commissioner Kavanaugh, Commissioner Duda,
Here.
Commissioner Kraft, Commissioner Morgan. Mr. Chair.
Here. Item A, approval of the minutes of the Board of Equalization meeting held Tuesday, September 15, 2015. Item B, call for a meeting and set Tuesday, September 29, 2015 as the date for hearing on certified assessments reflecting the addition of minute property to the tax rolls for increased value property.
Move approval of items A and B. Second.
There's motion and second. See no discussion. Everyone please vote. Citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for anyone in the audience to speak on any comments that may not be listed on the Douglas County Board of Equalization agenda. Are there any citizens' comments at this time? Seeing none, we have one resolution and no need for executive session. That resolution, item C, approving applications for tax exemptions on motor vehicles, recommended for approval by the county treasurer.
Move approval of item C and adjournment.
There's a motion. There's a second. There's a motion. A second. Seeing no discussion, everyone please vote. With that, we will move on now to the agenda for the Douglas County Board of Commissioners. Roll call, please.
Here.
Here, item 1, minutes and claims. Item 1 is the approval of minutes for the Board of Commissioners meeting held Tuesday, September 15th. Item 2, approval of claims submitted for payment processed through Tuesday, September 25th, 2015. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Everyone please vote. The consent agenda, there are 11 items on the consent agenda. I'd like to note for the record, item I, there may be some confusion. That's a resolution to approve the rates and travel modifications for the VA contract. There were some changes made, and I'd like to just note that change, and there were changes. Jim, look at me to make sure. That is in paragraph 2 is the whereas, remove medical. So that reads, it would read, for services provided to the Veterans Administration's patients instead of medical services. The next item down, which is the third whereas, it would read page 3 of 3 of the attached modification/amendment details the new fees for services, not medical service. So you would scratch medical in both paragraph 2 and paragraph 3. Is that right? Okay. No, I said that's right. With that noted change, any comment by the board? Claire. That means Commissioner Duda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to point out we do have 2 Fair Board appointments on here, and the 2 members, one new, one being reappointed, are both here this morning, Chris Chapelier and Sarah Weiss, and I just want to thank both of them for all they're doing for us. We've got a great Fair Board right now.
Okay. With that, is there a motion to second?
I will move for the approval of the consent agenda.
Teresa, you're Commissioner. May I speak?
Yes, please.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the board to lay over items G, 16, 17, and 18. And the reason being, I printed off the final agenda off the website yesterday to do my review for today's meeting, and it did not have on 16, 17, and 18. I've compared agendas with a few other folks, and it appears to have been on some agendas and not on others. And due to the Open Meetings Act and the 24 hours that's required, I'm simply, as a conservative mood, going to ask you to lay over G, 16, 17, and 18 until next week.
That's noted.
The motion reflects that.
Okay. All righty. With that, seeing no questions, please vote. We will now move on to citizens' comments. This is an opportunity for anyone in the audience to comment on any agenda items that may not be officially listed on today's agenda. Are there any citizens' comments at this time?
Hi, my name is Chris Chapellier. I'm the Vice President of the Douglas County Fair. And on behalf of Scott, myself, and the entire Fair Board, we'd like to invite all of you to join us in our parade entry on Saturday. It's going to be a 6-hitch wagon with Belgian draft horses, so feel free to come and bring kids, grandkids, whatever.
Cool.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Chris.
Are there any more citizens' comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 6, public hearing on reduction of fiscal year 15-16 budget for library funds by $202,341 to reflect the impact of annexations by the City of Omaha on the total amount of payment due from residents of the unincorporated Douglas County. The public meeting is now open at this time. Are there any comments from the public? Seeing none, we will close the public meeting. It's the will of the board.
Move to reduce the library fund by $202,341.
There's a second.
Second.
Motion is a second. Seeing no discussion, everyone please vote. We're going to committee discussions. Item A, Finance Committee, Commissioners Kavanaugh and Morgan for the budget report.
As provided, also Thursday we will have our strategic retreat planning meeting out at the Extension office. I think we start at 8:30 if I'm correct, Patrick. And that's open to the public, and hopefully we'll have some good discussion for sure. So just want to make note of that, and I'm certain it'll involve some of the financial budgets in the future. So anything, Jim?
Just along those lines, I have requested from Mr. Loren some budget information on comparison of city and county offices of similar scope of duties, so that we can get some idea relative to the possible consolidation of some of the duplicated services, and what those would involve in terms of dollar amounts and personnel.
You know, thinking about it a little bit with what you just said, someday it would be interesting for ourselves, the mayor and council, to even have a retreat and to discuss where we can continue to work closer together and do whatever's in the best interest of the public. You know, it's just an idea for the future that all of us ought to think about if that merits some consideration. I think it'd be a great idea.
I think so too.
So we'll see sometime in the future, Chris, maybe we'll work with Mary Ann and try to implement something like that if all of us kind of think it'd be a positive.
No noted. Any other comments? With that, we'll move on now to the Child and Youth Services Committee, and there's one resolution on there. It's a resolution to support the My Brother's Keeper Initiative and Community Challenge, and announce Douglas County as a My Brother's Keeper community. I'd like to note that only my name is there, but Commissioner Borgeson also worked with me on it. I put it on here as discussion or action with the will of the board. Just to note, this effort has been publicized for about a year, and it basically is an effort nationally to try to bring attention to the issues with kids of color. We, as a county, already institute some of these in what we do with the juvenile justice system and DMC, with what we do with public health and disproportionate health disparities, and also in respects to some efforts that we do with jobs and the Step Up program. If the board's will is, we could pass it. If not, we can wait next week. I do have the local contact here, Ms. Shelley Henderson, that's working with that if anybody has any questions. But as I said, it's been around for a while, and the county has pretty much institutionalized this. What it allows us to do more so is to be able to access some of the technical services and to be able to play in respects to efforts going on by public and private foundations to access money to bring other efforts up to scale. If there's no questions, if it's the will of the board, we can pass it or we can wait a week.
Move for the approval if you're okay.
Second.
I am fine with that. So there's a motion, there's a second. With that said, everyone please vote. Thank you all. This puts us on record, so we're good now, and we can work with regards to the structure to be able to access other services that come with it. So, Sally, you can tell them we're good. All right. With that, item D, the community services. Item 1 is the reallocation of 2015-16 Visitor Improvement Fund grant awarded for Lorenzen Gardens. Is there a motion to approve the reallocation?
Can I have a
Yes, sir.
quick question on
Commissioner
that?
Kavanaugh.
Catherine, could you just give us a quick outline of what this is for?
Sure. So Lorenzen Gardens received an award of $73,000 in visitor improvement funds earlier this summer, and subsequently they had a private funder come through and support one of the specific sculptures they had requested funding for, so they've asked to reallocate some of that funding to support other costs related to the sculpture garden. So it's still in the same spirit of their original award, but redirected to support some related costs.
And if I see this correctly, in there they want to reallocate some funds to offset costs to purchase peacocks sculptured for permanent display. Is that correct? Am I reading that right?
Their original award was $20,000 to support the peacock sculptures for permanent display, and so they're requesting for that $20,000 to be reallocated to support instead transportation and installation costs and maintenance expenses for sculptures.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any more questions?
Do you have a motion? Move for the approval.
Second.
There's motion and a second. Seeing no comment, everyone please vote. Item G, Human Resources. Item 1 is the weekly personnel report from Civil Service. Any comments from the board on that? Seeing none. Weekly CAO report on staff assaults. Patrick?
Nothing to report.
Okay, item 3.
To report.
Item 3, legislative issues, and I think with legislative issues, we just reiterate the strategic planning session on Thursday where some of these topics may come up. Does any other board members have any legislative issues? Seeing none. Is there a need for executive session? No. Okay. No. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn, and this should be a record.
No, it's not.
Oh.
There's a second.
And second.
Please vote.
Close enough to a record.
All right.
The all-time record is supposedly 48 seconds. Dan Lynch claims he chaired a meeting in 48 seconds once. Just had one.
Oh, beautiful for
spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty, above the fruited plain. America, America, God share